Exodus chapters 25 through 27. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and take the first fruits of all, who may be disposed in their heart to forgive. And ye shall take my first fruits. And this is the offering which ye shall take of them: gold and silver and brass, and blue and purple, and double scarlet, and fine spun linen, and goat's hair, and ram's skin dyed red, and blue skins, and incorruptible wood, and oil for the light, incense for anointing oil, and for the composition of incense, and sardius stones, and stones for the carved work of the breastplate, and the full-length robe. And thou shalt make for me a sanctuary, and I will appear among you. And thou shalt make for me according to all things which I show thee in the mountain, even on the pattern of the tabernacle, and the pattern of all its furniture. So shalt thou make it. And thou shalt make the ark of testimony of incorruptible wood, the length of 2 cubits and a half, and a breadth and a cubit and a half, and the height of a cubit and a half. And thou shalt gild it with pure gold, and thou shalt gild it within and without, and thou shalt make for it golden wreaths twisted round about. And thou shalt cast it 4 golden rings, and thou shalt put them on the 4 sides, 2 rings on one side, and 2 rings on the other side. And thou shalt make staves of incorruptible wood, and thou shalt gild them with gold, and thou shalt put the staves into the rings on the sides of the ark, to bear the ark with them. The staves shall remain fixed in the rings of the ark. And thou shalt put into the ark the testimonies which I shall give thee. And thou shalt make a propitiatory, a lid of pure gold, the length of 2 cubits and a half, and the breadth of a cubit and a half. And thou shalt make 2 cherubs graven in gold, and thou shalt put them on both sides of the propitiatory. And they shall be made, 1 cherub on this side, and another cherub on the other side of the propitiatory. And thou shalt make the 2 cherubs on the 2 sides. The cherubs shall stretch forth their wings above, overshadowing the propitiatory with their wings. And their faces shall be toward each other, and the face of the cherub shall be toward the propitiatory. And thou shalt set the propitiatory on the ark above, and thou shalt put into the ark the testimonies which I shall give thee. And I will make myself known to thee from thence, and I will speak to thee above the propitiatory between the 2 cherubs, which are upon the ark of testimony, even in all things which I shall charge thee concerning the children of Israel. And thou shalt make a golden table of pure gold, in length 2 cubits, and in breadth a cubit, and in height a cubit and a half. And thou shalt make for it golden wreaths twisted round about, and thou shalt make for it a crown of an handbreadth round about. And thou shalt make a twisted wreath for the crown round about. And thou shalt make 4 golden rings, and thou shalt put the 4 rings upon the 4 parts of its feet under the crown. And the rings shall be for the bearings of the staves, that they may bear the table with them. And thou shalt make the staves of incorruptible wood, and thou shalt gild them with pure gold. And the table shall be borne with them. And thou shalt make its dishes, and its censers, and its bowls, and its cups, with which thou shalt offer drink offerings. Of pure gold thou shalt make them. And thou shalt set upon the table showbread before me continually. And thou shalt make me a candlestick of pure gold. Thou shalt make the candlestick of graven work. Its stem and its branches, and its boughs, and its knobs, and its lilies shall be of one piece. And 6 branches proceeding sideways, 3 branches of the candlestick from one side of it, and 3 branches of the candlestick from the other side. And 3 bowls fashioned like almonds, on each branch a knop and a lily. So to the 6 branches proceeding from the candlestick. And in the candlestick 4 bowls fashioned like almonds, in each branch knops and the flowers of the same. A knop under 2 branches out of it, and a knop under 4 branches out of it. So to the 6 branches proceeding from the candlestick. And in the candlestick 4 bowls fashioned like almonds. Let the knops and the branches be of one piece altogether, graven of one piece of pure gold. And thou shalt make it 7 lamps, and thou shalt set it on the lamps, and they shall shine from one front. And thou shalt make its funnel and its snuff dishes of pure gold. All these articles shall be a talent of pure gold. See, thou shalt make them according to the pattern showed thee in the mount. And thou shalt make the tabernacle 10 curtains of fine linen spun, and blue and purple and scarlet spun with cherubs. Thou shalt make them with work of a weaver. The length of 1 curtain shall be 28 cubits, and 1 curtain shall be the breadth of 4 cubits. There shall be the same measures to all the curtains. And the 5 curtains shall be joined one to another, and the other 5 curtains shall be closely connected the one with the other. And thou shalt make for them loops of blue on the edge of 1 curtain, on one side for the coupling, and so shalt thou make on the edge of the outer curtain for the 2nd coupling. 50 loops shalt thou make for 1 curtain, and 50 loops shalt thou make on the part of the curtain answering to the coupling of the 2nd, opposite each other, corresponding to each other at each point. And thou shalt make 50 golden rings, and thou shalt join the curtains to each other with rings, and it shall be 1 tabernacle. And thou shalt make for a covering of the tabernacle skins with the hair on. Thou shalt make them 11 skins. The length of one skin 30 cubits, and the breadth of one skin 4 cubits. There shall be the same measure to the 11 skins. And thou shalt join the 5 skins together, and the 6 skins together. And thou shalt double the 6th skin in front of the tabernacle. And thou shalt make 50 loops on the border of one skin, which is in the midst for the joinings. And thou shalt make 50 loops on the edge of the 2nd skin that joins it. And thou shalt make 50 brazen rings, and thou shalt join the rings by the loops, and thou shalt join the skins, and they shall be one. And thou shalt fix at the end that which is over the skins in the tabernacle. And half of the skin that is left thou shalt fold over, according to the overplus of the skins of the tabernacle. Thou shalt fold it over behind the tabernacle, a cubit on this side, and a cubit on that side, of that which remains of the skins, of the length of the skins of the tabernacle. It shall be folding over the sides of the tabernacle on this side and that side, that it may cover it. And thou shalt make for a covering of the tabernacle ram's skin, dyed red, and blue skins as coverings above. And thou shalt make the posts of the tabernacle of incorruptible wood. Of 10 cubits shalt thou make one post, and the breadth of one post of a cubit and a half. 2 joints shalt thou make in one post, answering the one to the other. So shalt thou do to all the posts of the tabernacle. And thou shalt make posts of the tabernacle, 20 posts on the north side. And thou shalt make to the 20 posts 40 silver sockets, 2 sockets to one post on both of its sides, and 2 sockets to the other post on both its sides. And for the next side toward the south 20 posts, and their 40 silver sockets, 2 sockets to one post on both its sides, and 2 sockets to the other post on both its sides. And on the back of the tabernacle, at the part which is toward the west, thou shalt make 6 posts. And thou shalt make 2 posts on the corners of the tabernacle behind, and it shall be equal below. They shall be equal toward the same part from the heads to the joining. So shalt thou make to both and the 2 corners, let them be equal. And there shall be 8 posts, and there 16 silver sockets, 2 sockets to one post on both its sides, and 2 sockets to the other posts. And thou shalt make the bars of incorruptible wood, 5 to one post on one side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars to one post on the second side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars to the hinder post on the side of the tabernacle, toward the sea. And let the bar in the middle between the posts go through from the one side to the other side. And thou shalt gild the posts with gold, and thou shalt make golden rings, into which thou shalt introduce the bars, and thou shalt gild the bars with gold. And thou shalt set up the tabernacle according to the pattern showed thee in the mount. And thou shalt make a veil of blue and purple and scarlet woven, and fine linen spun. Thou shalt make it cherubs in woven work. And thou shalt set it upon the 4 posts of incorruptible wood, overlaid with gold. And their tops shall be gold, and their 4 sockets shall be of silver. And thou shalt put the veil on the posts, and thou shalt carry in thither within the veil the ark of the testimony. And the veil shall make a separation for you, between the holy and the holy of holies. And thou shalt screen with the veil the ark of the testimony in the holy of holies. And thou shalt set the table outside the veil, and the candlestick opposite the table on the south side of the tabernacle. And thou shalt put the table on the north side of the tabernacle. And thou shalt make a screen for the door of the tabernacle of blue, and purple, and spun scarlet, and fine linen spun, the work of the embroiderer. And thou shalt make for the veil 5 posts, and thou shalt gild them with gold, and their chapiters shall be gold. And thou shalt cast for them 5 brazen sockets. And thou shalt make an altar of incorruptible wood, of 5 cubits in length, and 5 cubits in the breadth. The altar shall be square, and the height of it shall be 3 cubits. And thou shalt make the horns on the 4 corners. The horns shall be of the same piece, and thou shalt overlay them with brass. And thou shalt make a rim for the altar, and its covering, and its cups, and its flesh hooks, and its fire pan, and all its vessels shalt thou make of brass. And thou shalt make for it a brazen grate, with network, and thou shalt make for the grate 4 brazen rings under the 4 sides. And thou shalt put them below under the grate of the altar, and the grate shall extend to the middle of the altar. And thou shalt make for the altar staves of incorruptible wood, and thou shalt overlay them with brass. And thou shalt put the staves into the rings, and let the staves be on the sides of the altar to carry it. Thou shalt make it hollow with boards, according to what was showed thee in the mount. So thou shalt make it. And thou shalt make a court for the tabernacle, curtains of the court of fine linen spun on the south side, the length of 100 cubits for one side, and their pillars 20, and 20 brazen sockets for them, and their rings, and their clasps of silver. Thus shall there be to the side toward the north curtains of 100 cubits in length, and their pillars 20, and their sockets 20 of brass, and the rings and the clasps of the pillars, and their sockets overlaid with silver. In the breadth of the tabernacle toward the west, curtains of 50 cubits, their pillars 10, and their sockets 10. In the breadth of the tabernacle toward the south, curtains of 50 cubits, their pillars 10, and their sockets 10. And the height of the curtains shall be of 50 cubits for the one side of the gate, their pillars 3, their sockets 3. And for the second side, the height of the curtain shall be of 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. And a veil for the door of the court, and the height of it of 20 cubits of blue linen, and of purple, and spun scarlet, and of fine linen spun with the art of the embroiderer. Their pillars 4, and their sockets 4. All the pillars of the court round about overlaid with silver, and their chapiters silver, and their brass sockets. And the length of the court shall be 100 cubits on each side, and the breadth 50 on each side, and the height 5 cubits of fine linen spun on their sockets of brass. And all the furniture, and all the instruments, and the pins of the court shall be of brass. And do thou charge the children of Israel, and let them take for thee refined pure olive oil, beaten to burn for light, that the lamp may burn continually. In the tabernacle of testimony, without the veil that is before the ark of the covenant, shall Aaron and his sons burn it from evening until morning before the Lord. It is a perpetual ordinance throughout your generations of the children of Israel. Psalm 28, 29 in Hebrew. A psalm of David, on the occasion of the solemn assembly of the tabernacle. Bring to the Lord, ye sons of God, bring to the Lord young rams, bring to the Lord glory and honor, bring to the Lord glory due to his name, worship the Lord in his holy court. The voice of the Lord is upon the waters, the God of glory hath thundered. The Lord is upon many waters, the voice of the Lord is mighty, the voice of the Lord is full of majesty. There is the voice of the Lord who breaks the cedars, the Lord will break the cedars of Libanus, and he will beat them small, even Libanus itself like a calf, and the beloved one is as a young unicorn. There is a voice of the Lord who divides a flame of fire, a voice of the Lord who shakes the wilderness. The Lord will shake the wilderness of Cades. The voice of the Lord strengthens the hinds, and will uncover the thickets, and in his temple everyone speaks of his glory. The Lord will dwell on the waterflood, and the Lord will sit a king forever. The Lord will give strength to his people. The Lord will bless his people with peace. Proverbs chapter 5, verses 20 through 23. Be not intimate with a strange woman, neither fold thyself in the arms of a woman not thine own. For the ways of a man are before the eyes of God, and he looks on all his paths. Iniquities ensnare a man, and every one is bound in the chains of his own sins. Such a man dies with the uninstructed, and he is cast forth from the abundance of his own substance, and has perished through folly. The Holy Gospel according to St. Matthew, chapter 18, verses 1 through 20. At the same time came the disciples unto Jesus, saying, Who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And Jesus called a little child unto him, and set him in the midst of them, and said, Verily I say unto you, except ye be converted, and become as little children, ye shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. Whosoever therefore shall humble himself as this little child, the same is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And whoso shall receive one such little child in my name receiveth me. But whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and he were drowned in the depth of the sea. Woe unto the world because of offenses, for it must needs be that offensive come. But woe to that man by whom the offense cometh. Wherefore, if thy hand or thy foot offend thee, cut them off, and cast them from thee. It is better for thee to enter into life halt or maimed, rather than having 2 hands or 2 feet to be cast into everlasting fire. If thine eye offend thee, pluck it out, and cast it from thee. It is better for thee to enter into life with 1 eye, rather than having 2 eyes to be cast into hell fire. Take heed that ye despise not one of these little ones, for I say unto you, that in heaven their angels do always behold the face of my Father which is in heaven. For the Son of Man is come to save that which was lost. How think ye? If a man have 100 sheep, and one of them be gone astray, doth he not leave the 99, and goeth into the mountains, and seeketh that which is gone astray? And if so be that he find it, verily I say unto you, he rejoiceth more over that sheep than of the 99 which went not astray. Even so, it is not the will of your Father which is in heaven, that one of these little ones should perish. Moreover, if thy brother shall trespass against thee, go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone. If he shall hear thee, thou hast gained thy brother. But if he will not hear thee, then take with thee 1 or 2 more, that in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every word may be established. And if he shall neglect to hear them, tell it unto the church. But if he neglect to hear the church, let him be unto thee as a heathen man and a publican. Verily, I say unto you, whatsoever ye shall bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatsoever ye shall loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. Again I say unto you, that if 2 of you shall agree on earth as touching anything that they shall ask, it shall be done for them of my Father which is in heaven. For where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them.